Science Egg minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Rocket Hour today. We're back at Keeneland. We're going to try to do better than we did last week. We were close a couple times, just couldn't get the job done. After a 3-for-3 week, we go 0-for-3 last week. What do you think, Ricky? It's a pretty tricky sequence, I think, today.
Yeah, there are a bunch of scratches in there, especially at the early part of the card that really changed things. Definitely one late in race 6 that I'm sure we both used on the ticket as well. Kind of making things a single, I guess, in your case, which will show. And I'm still going to use one more. But yeah, tricky. I think the first race is the toughest, race 5, but it gets a little easier. No stakes races, but few horses definitely have stakes potential or have run in stakes races. So a decent sequence to cover, to say the least.
Yeah, I thought it was one of our better ones that we covered, certainly on a Wednesday. Let's put it that way. Sometimes Friday you get better horses, but for a Wednesday, this is a pretty good 4-race sequence here. I think it's got some potential to pay today, so we'll see if we can get this one home. I'll go ahead and put it up on the screen now. We might as well get to it. And you alluded to it, this maiden special weight to start us off, you thought was the hardest race of the sequence. So we'll get right into this one. Like I said, 2-year-old maiden special weight, $84,000 purse, won 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Full field of 10 here. We did not have a scratch out of this race. Looks like you're going 5 deep to start us off.
Yeah, the same 4 that you're going to use. I'm just going to use one extra. So I'll talk about the horse I put on top, and then I'll talk about that extra horse. The 2, Fan the Fire, he's extremely frustrating. And what I mean by that is we're going to have to take a short price based on the experience. I think the 1 has some, and the 9 and the 10, but that's about it. So we only 40% of this field, 4 out of 10. But if we look at the 2, he hasn't done anything 2 times in a row. He started on a muddy, off the turf race. Okay, kind of ran his best race there, one of his better races. Then he goes to a fast main track. The price goes up, so maybe that field is tougher, and now I'm just kind of looking at it, on the fringes type of thing. But Major General did go on to win. Okay, fine. Then, almost 8-1, runs in the Kentucky Juvenile Mile, going for, these are the type of patterns that and horses that I hate to use. Why do I say that? First of all, they're maiden, so we really don't know what they're best at. We just don't have a clue. The second thing is you have a quality trainer in Mike Maker, and you figure he's doing the best thing for the horse, but maybe it's possible he doesn't know what he's got quite, again, not everyone knows. He's just kind of playing this guessing game. You have so many different things going on here. In his sprint races, he showed speed. In the Juvenile Mile, he shows no speed. The comment says never a threat. I think that's pretty kind. Never a threat is like a nice way of saying he sucked, to be quite honest with you. But you figure, the experience should help as he, I hate to say it, he's dropping in class back to maiden special weight competition. It's a weird thing to say. So there's that. So that's my top choice, but I'm not confident in it. This other 5 that you didn't use, the 5 Camargo, a son by Gormley, sold for $140,000. Now, why is that interesting? Gormley stands for $7,500. We've seen a lot of sires that don't stand for much produce good horses. But more times than not, if we have a mare, we can go to Into Mischief and forget about, and we have that money, we're going to go that route. But this horse for $7,500, I've always said that's my best angle. If you don't know anything about horse racing, just look at the sire fees, because they all have a sire fee, or almost they all do. And you look at the purchase price. This is a massive difference. And maybe this is going to be one of Gormley's better runners. I also wrote in the article about the free article that I posted, Steve Asmussen will not stay in this slump forever. Or at least I hope not, because he has been absolutely dreadful. Now, it's not him. I'm sure the training methods haven't changed, but I should say his horses have been dreadful. They just haven't looked the way they did at Saratoga, and they don't, or they did over the summer. I think it's going to turn around, and if we can get an Asmussen, Ricardo Santana, Brian Hernandez here, but Ricardo Santana later on in the card, that I wrote about in the article, I think this is where we start to find that value, right? You just have to start looking to yourself. Illinois bred. I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but 8-1 with a first-time starter. Brian Hernandez has done a pretty good job on his mounts. I'll take it. And again, if you don't like the 2, which I don't love, I think we could get a price. And I think you kind of feel the same way as you use the 7, who's 10-1, and the 9 and the 10 with experience. They're in that mid-range. So I'll let you kind of get there. But I think this is definitely our most open race. And I could easily see myself fading the 2 completely if the price gets too low.
The problem with the 2, and it's just a situation where I just draw a line through that last race, Kentucky Downs on the turf. I don't know what that was in a stakes, like you said, not dropping back to maiden special weight, taking a class trial. We don't say that very often, maybe a couple times a year. The problem with the 2 is the race 2 back, that second start at Saratoga, where he went up against Major General, a horse that's very good, and went on to have success later on after this race, and earned a 100 time form figure, which is far and away better than anything that started here, and looked good in that race. And you look at that, it's like, well, if he runs that race, what's the likelihood that a first-time starter, or maybe a second-time starter that might improve, but still, what's the likelihood they're going to run 100 time form? And like, what's the likelihood that 100 time form wins this race? Like 90%, right? So that's why it was just really tough for me to toss. And then, by the way, on debut over that muddy track at Saratoga, got beat by a horse named American Experiment, who Asmussen thought enough of to send to a stakes at Del Mar next time out. So really has been beat by good horses when on the dirt there. So, and I guess Tiz the Bomb, a pretty good horse too for a turf runner as well, came back to win at Keeneland last time out. So this horse has been beaten by some really nice ones, even that turf effort that he didn't run very well. So I had to throw the 2 in. Let's talk about the first-time starters. I was actually between the 5 and the 7, Ricky, as far as a first-time starter to throw in. It kind of went into the fact that I don't really love Gormley as a sire. I thought if this horse was live, Asmussen would put Santana on. Instead gets Brian Hernandez. I like Brian Hernandez, but I don't know. I just think Santana would have been on this horse if he thought this was the better of the 2. But I get trying to get a price in there. That horse does make sense. I kind of like the point you made. I did go with the 7 Mass Patrol as the first time starter that I used. So I went 2, 7, 9, and 10. With this one, I don't know. I just think that I love when Florent Giroux rides for Brendan Welsh. They don't do it often. When they do, it's pretty good success. This horse has a solid workout last time out. Coming into this one, has a couple of fast works at Ellis Park as well earlier in the year. I think this horse is going to be well prepared. I think if he's got if he's got the talent, this is a field he can certainly beat, because the other 2 horses with experience, I should say, the 9 and the 10, leave a little bit to be desired. With the 10, that is the Asmussen Ricardo hookup there. Second time out, first time out was not great, but faced some really nice horses in there. I think second time out, this horse can improve. And the 9, I mean, it's just a horse that did improve second out. If we get another jump up here, then I think this horse looks pretty good. But a horse like my 7 or your 5 certainly can come up here and win this race if the 2 kind of fails to fire.
Well, and that's kind of what I get. So I didn't look at the Ricardo Santana thing the way you did. I looked at it a little differently. Yes, we all know Ricardo's his main guy. That's not up for debate. But I looked at it as, okay, Ricardo was aboard over a muddy sealed track at Saratoga. I don't know what to make of that, because Asmussen was doing great, and so was Ricardo, obviously. They go hand in hand. So if we look at the 2, who's coming out of a muddy sealed, same situation, except one was scheduled for the turf, one wasn't, but it was still ended up being on a muddy sealed. The 2 ran really well in the next start. If the 10 runs really well, that's kind of where I put okay, we don't have to discredit the 5, because Ricardo was already on the 10.
Mhm.
If he had 2 first-time starters, now I'm in your camp. If that, I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
It
I don't know
does,
if I
yeah.
described, I don't know if in my head it makes sense. But, like if 2 first-time starters, then I'm definitely going to take the one that Ricardo's on, even if the numbers at this meet don't mean much. Again, maybe the 10 just stinks. I mean, we don't know. But we're going to get a first-time fast track for this horse and the second-time race overall. That's why I'm a little bit more bullish on the 10 than I am the 2 necessarily, especially when it comes to value. The 2 is probably the most talented horse in the race, unless we see a first-time starter just run someone off their feet. With that being said, I'm probably going to have to take a 8-5 versus I think we can really get 7-2. I'm willing to take double the price, I think. And you're right. I don't know what the heck that turf race was. I don't know who made that call, why that call was made. It was horrible. Clearly didn't work. We're gonna try to open it up here. I mean, you're 7. I like Hard Spun as a sire as well. Sold for 310,000 when he stands for 35. That's obviously part of the same Camargo angle that I brought up, and no one's gonna dispute you between Hard Spun and Gormley as a sire. I don't think that's. I think that's a one-way street. But yeah, I just felt going a little bit deeper here to open it up. I really think the 2 is vulnerable. If he's not, we're screwed because this is where I'm looking at a price. So,
yeah,
that's kind of where we are. But
yeah, it's kind of cool. The 2 for a guy like me that really got into the game in 2007. Hard Spun is the sire of the 2 out of a Keeneland mare. So those were 2 horses in that 2007 crop of 3-year-olds that just were exceptional horses. So it's really cool to see a horse like that with that kind of breeding. That makes me a fan automatically. Just my bias for that crop. Speaking of crops, Cindy likes the 4 Arrow Strike. This horse is by Cupid out of a Bodemeister mare. So 2 horses that had success in their day of racing on the Oaklawn Park 3-year-old series. Cupid, a Rebel winner, Bodemeister, an Arkansas Derby winner. 4's a first-timer. Vicky Oliver, the trainer. Rafael Bejarano going to be aboard. What did you think of the 4?
I actually like Cupid in terms of being a sire. Yep. Again, he stands for 5,000. I believe that is the cheapest in the race. Don't quote me. Yeah. Tourist also stands for 5,000. And Bodemeister on the 9. So if it means anything, I think we can expect a little speed out of the 4. Now, it's hard to tell if we're going to see that on debut. If I were to rank, I probably would have the 4 next, which would be my 6th horse. I just like a few first-time starters better. And when I don't think a maiden special, and I don't know if you subscribe to this theory, but I'll lay it out there. When I don't think the maiden special weight field is that strong, like I'm not sure any of these horses are going to go on to win what the next logical step would be, which would be an allowance race. If they drop to starter allowance, to me, it's a slight stop down. Yep. Maiden claiming, if you go to starter allowance, that's a step up. Or a weaker, Indiana Grand and you go, that's maybe a little step up. But when you're at Keeneland maiden special weight, you're supposed to go to allowance if you win and you do impressively. I don't see any of these runners really being allowance runners unless a first-time starter runs well. Like, I don't know if I would take the 2 in a good allowance group at Keeneland or Churchill Down. And maybe we have to see this race. With that being said, I'm leaning on experience. That's where I think the experience plays more in the weaker the maiden special weight group. If this was a bunch of first-time starters, like, different story. I just don't think this is the strongest one we've seen at Keeneland or Churchill or Saratoga, Del Mar. So that's just, I'm leaning on experience here. And I think there are a couple first-time starters that I prefer, I guess.
Yeah, I think it does make sense to kind of look at this race that way. I don't know how tough it really is. Charles chimes in, says he likes the 3 Hot Trainer, great jock, and likes the works as well. The 3 Improbable Journey by Majestic Perfection, a horse that won the Iowa Sprint and then went up to win the Vanderbilt. Really great sprinter. Out of Candy Ride Mare, obviously that's great as well. Larry Jones is the trainer, and yeah, he is hot right now. I don't love Larry Jones with firsters. I love him with second-time starters. I feel like he does really well as second-time starter. Sophie Doyle, though, really good trainer, or a really good jockey, I should say. Last comment here, and then we'll get to the next one. What do you think of the 3?
Kind of like the same camp. On paper, I don't see a big difference between the 3 and the 4. You're really going off like pedigree. I'm with you. I don't really prefer any of the connections with first-time starters. If I had to pick a trainer, if it was like, hey, I've got this Breeders' Cup Classic horse. It's your horse. Do you want Vicky Oliver or Larry Jones? I'm not really sure I have a big opinion either way, to be quite honest. Like, I think they're solid. I don't think they're as good as someone like a Bill Mott or an Asmussen or a Brennan Walsh. Like, so with that being said, I think there's a reason where you're getting 12-1 on both of them, to be at least on paper. To be quite honest, if you like one over the other, then definitely use. The suggestion I will make is, I think the 2 is vulnerable. So if there is a first-time starter that you like, definitely make sure you include on the ticket, because the 2 is going to run everyone off their feet, or he's going to look like crap. Like, I don't think there's a third place finish by 3 coming from him. That's just the way I am. And I don't want to take that at a short price. Like, I'm better off, and Aaron, maybe you agree, you're better off singling the 2 if you feel that strongly. There's no reason to include just 1 or 2. You got to mix it up a little bit, like we're doing. You're going 4, I'm going 5 deep. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are here as we talked about this one to a good extent.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation. I'll take Larry Jones though as a trainer. I think he's won some big races, so I think Larry Jones does a pretty good job. Vicky Oliver does too. I just don't think she gets that caliber of horse. And to be fair, I don't think Larry Jones has had that big time horse in a while either. So it's kind of crazy how those trends kind of go. So all right though, let's get to the next race 6 on the card. We're on the turf for this one. It's Allowance going a mile and a 16th. $93,000 purse for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. The big news this morning was the scratch of the 1, Daddy is a Legend. I think I had that horse as a single. I think a lot of people were pretty excited to see this horse kind of drop down in class after running just 11 days ago in the First Lady and getting beat by 5 lengths in a race that she didn't get a very good setup. She's out here, leaves us with a field of just 5 runners. Looks like you went too deep. Like I said, I singled, so I'll let you kick us off here.
I don't want to be a cop-out. First of all, Domingo's clearly the best horse in the race with Daddy is a Legend out. I don't think that's up for debate. I'll handle the cash. It's just one of those horses that I always use on tickets. I don't know how else to explain it. There's no good reason behind it. I just think she always runs a really, really, really good race. Even in the races, and the crazy thing is, this is one to note. And what I mean by that is she's going to be a shorter price in here. But if we look at her odds in the last 6, 9-1, almost 20-1, almost 7-1, 6-1, 18-1, almost 9-1. She never really was supposed to compete. And what I mean by compete is go for a win, or run well enough. She seems to be out of place in a lot of these races. And the last time out against Hendy Wood, Sweet Melania, like in the One Dreaming, she wasn't beating that group. So this is what I mean, one to note. Domingo's going to be, she's not going to be 8-5. She's going to be 4-5, even money. I'll handle the cash is going to be a much shorter price. And when we look back at this, whenever she runs again, maybe this year, maybe not, I don't know what the plans are. We're going to say, well, she was really supposed to compete based on her odds. And we're going to have to remind ourselves, not really, because there was Domingo in there and Daddy is a Legend is out. It's going to be tough, right? How do you beat Domingo? I'm not really sure. She's tactical. She can sit off. She didn't run in stakes either, to be quite honest, but she ran well at Ellis twice, and she ran well at Churchill before that. It's more of just a hunch play for me. Domingo's supposed to win. This is why I said last race, the first race of race 5 was so important, because we're most likely going to get a single like Aaron did, or maybe 2 like I'm using, short prices. And even the 5, I think, is like a horse that's like halfway decent. So no one's going to be a big price. I think this is one of those that you just kind of single, maybe use one other and push through, but there's not a lot to say. Domingo is the class. She's got speed. She's got everything you need. Got the rider, got the trainer. There's really nothing to not like about her.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you had this horse on the ticket 2 back. I'll handle the cash, right? At Saratoga when the horse won at 19-1, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that may have been a day you cashed a pretty decent ticket. I cannot remember. Saratoga's been so long ago now, and it was a little bit early in the meet. But
well, we could look. I have the history, so I'll look it up while you talk.
Okay, yeah, I'll just I'll throw up Charles's comment. 4-horse should be a lock. Charles, the only thing that kind of makes me pause is sometimes when you get one like this that looks this easy, that's when all hell breaks loose. But it really, I mean, once Daddy is a Legend scratch, it's like, yeah, Dominga's just kind of better than the rest of these. You look at the horses that she's lost to, and you still feel pretty good about it. Look, I don't count the Kentucky Downs thing. It's just totally different, and we got totally different, setup. But you look at the other things that are normal races like Alice Churchill and right here at Keeneland. Okay, Keeneland, she lost to Warlike Goddess. Not bad. Then she wins at Churchill. Then she loses 2 in a row that she's on the warpath. That's a horse that's better than anything that's in this race. I just thought this was absolutely the logical horse to single in the sequence. And the other big thing about this, I don't trust the 2 that much in the 5th race. And I think these next 2 races we're going to talk about are pretty wide open as well. So it's just like she sticks out like a sore thumb as the obvious logical single in this sequence. So I think the 4 Dominga gets it done here. And by the way, the connections, Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, that never is a bad thing either. So have you found it, Ricky? Is that one you cashed?
I did. I cashed it, but I can't seem to find the price. I think there's something wrong with Naira's. It was a big cash, though, because obviously that horse paid a shit ton. I can't. We're going to have to give me a few more minutes to try to find a price on this thing, because Saratoga said that they didn't run on the 28th, according to Naira. That's impossible. That's physically impossible. So now I'm doing some more research. Hopefully.
Okay. I'll read another comment here. Dennis thinks the 4 is impossible beat in this situation. Steve, maybe he disagrees. He's going to single the 3 past the plate. She gets back to Keeneland, hoping Causeway and Dominga give her pace to close into. Damn Sire is striking at a high rate here in Maryland. The 3 past the plate, certainly a horse that is consistent. I definitely say that. Definitely a board hitter. Runs well no matter where they run her. Last time out, Kentucky Downs got 4th and beat the 2 horses that we're using. Well, the one I'm using and the 2 that you're using. So, 2 races back, got beat by Dominga, but it was close. She was in the ballpark. It looks like about 5 races back at Fairgrounds, also got beat by Dominga, but the same situation, close in the ballpark. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't hate it, and I think the deal is if you're going to take a stand against Dominga, I think you want a horse like Pass the Plate. Let's see if I look at mine here. Yeah, I had Pass the Plate in second, so I definitely don't hate it. Sydney thinks
find it.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll get to this comment, and then we'll get to a few of the other horses real quick. So I'll Handle the Cash was race 7. Then Noble Emotion, Bell's the 1.
Yep.
Who was a short price.
Yep.
And Caribbean Gold, one of those maiden claiming whatever, paid $874. So that's probably the reason in the back of my mind that I'm going to use I'll Handle the Cash again. Now, for the record, I didn't use her when in that Kentucky Down spot because she's not good enough. Like the allowance runners, I think on any given day they can really beat each other. And the hard part is they're good runners. Like you don't run an allowance competition if you're not somewhat talented, right? So if you're in stakes competition, like you don't see them beat each other as much because they usually all run their best race. I think in allowance spots, it's a lot more variable. Let's get to, I'll touch on a few of these comments because I know you did. The single of Past the Plate.
Yeah.
She won't be that far back. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be that far back. It's going to be front to back, 4 or 5 lines at the most. Hoping Causeway and Dominga give her pace to close into. I've just learned, and Steve, I'm not pushing against your point. The smaller the field, the less pace there is because they're not going to burn each other out. It just kind of seems like a merry-go-round race. I'm interested to see if Joe Talamo does anything with her early on, or if he's just going to say, I'm going to sit 5th. Because if she sits 5th, where he chooses to put her 5th, however you want to phrase it, 5th by 4, I'm not sure she's going to be 4 lengths better than Domingo when they're going 25-1. That's just my interpretation of it. Like, Past the Plate to me would make a lot more sense if there were 10 horses in the field. And I know that sounds messed up to say, but is Ricardo Santana and Florent Geroux going to put themselves to a 23-2? No, they're not. And if they do, it's the worst ride in the history of Keeneland. So I don't know. I just wanted 2 front runners. I think she's talented though. And she runs a good race too, finishing the money 3 out of 6 in the money in her career, 12 out of 18 for 350,000. I mean, she's a good runner. I just don't see it. What was the other comment? We were talking about the 6, maybe.
Yeah, I haven't got to this one. Sydney thinks the 6 can win if she gets loose on the lead. I think so too. That's how she won 2 back, right?
That's my goal. I think the 2 can potentially win if she gets to the lead. I think whoever gets to the lead, their percentage of opportunity goes up a great amount. Florent Geroux doesn't have to worry about that because Dominguez tactical enough that even if she's not on the lead, she's going to be sitting 2nd or 3rd. I think it's ultra important for Ricardo Santana and Chris Landeros, unless there's a rider change. Those 2 guys, they say, we got to get to the lead. That would be Past the Plate's best opportunity if those 2 go out, because Florent Geroux is not going to do that. He knows he's on the best horse, and he knows he's going to be on the favorite. He would be an idiot to press the pace. I think the 6, more than the 2 even, needs the lead. So if Ricardo's got to work a little extra hard to a 24-1 or 23-4, I think that's his best opportunity. I'm with Cindy. I want 2 front runners. I think the 6 is going to be a better price than the 2. So we're kind of in the same boat there.
Yeah, I think that's how the horse wins. And like you said earlier, short field, usually you could get that pace that might set up for the 6. So we'll see. I think the 6's problem is, like you said earlier, the 4 is pretty tactical. And I just can't see a situation, if they all are kind of loping out there, the 4 will go to the front. If they start to run, the 4 will just kind of sit right behind them type of thing. So we'll see. Steve says fair points on what you made there. So you did well there, Ricky. That was a compliment, I believe. All right, let's move on to the 7th race today. An allowance optional claimer 62.50, $88,000 purse. Once again, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. We'll have a field of 6 here because the 5 thinking has scratched. So, like I said, leaves us with a field of 6. I took 4 horses here. I don't know. This one I feel like is a little tricky. You only went 2 deep though, so I'll let you talk about your 2.
Yeah, so I just went with the 1 and the 2 in this spot. To be honest, I never thought of thinking. That sounds weird. I never thought of thinking. I never thought of using thinking. The 5. Never thought of it. When we get to the 1, I guess I'll just talk about the 2 that I used, and you could, add on or whatever. The 1, Tipsy Gal, running in the winning colors and whatever the heck that race at Colonial Downs was. Well, look at her odds. Never really had a shot on paper. Okay, she shows some speed. Not horrible last time out. To be honest, to finish less than 3 lengths at almost 29-1, I think is a solid effort. And then the winning colors, you're running against Wisconsin, and Frank's Rocket finished 3rd. I'm not sure what you're supposed to really do there. The race last time out prior to that was in April. Again, I'm on the excuses bandwagon here. It's a sloppy sealed track. Never really ran well over it. Hadn't been on it at all this year, and she finished 3rd in the 1 race that she was on it prior to, just not good with moisture in the track. And then she won at the fairgrounds and then was on turf. And, I really think in my heart of hearts, her best race wins this, or at least competes. The problem is we haven't seen that in a long, long, long time. With that being said, the 2 Movie Moxie for me, I'm not sure how she loses if she runs her best race. Lady Rocket, 2 starts back at Church Downs. Here, Spice is nice. Ran against a good group at Saratoga, 4th by 3 after showing speed. This is another one that I don't know if who's really going to show speed, and maybe the 4, who I don't know if she's really good enough. I'm scared of this race because I'm not sure how much better the 2 is, and the 1 has 0 form. I have to go a long, long ways back. With that being said, if you were just saying, okay, everyone's going to run their A race and they're all trustworthy, I think the 2 is your winner. She hasn't won in quite some time, and that's always scary to me. Tyler G has been the MVP of the meet from the rider perspective, and he's going to get aboard a George Weaver trained horse who doesn't really bring much here. He's pretty much a New York guy through and through, but he has good runners. Smaller barn, but he's got good runners. So that's where I'm going. I almost singled the two, to be quite honest, and then went deep in the next leg. But I didn't do that. I want to use one more. So I'm all in on the 1 and 2. Hopefully the 1's a better price. We can get it home.
Yeah, Dennis says Movie Moxley. John Moxley is the wrestler, so we call him Movie Moxley. Dennis and I do. I trust Movie Moxie just like I trust John Moxley. I don't trust him, Dennis. Here's the deal. I just feel like this horse has had so many opportunities that are really similar to this, where it's like you handicap a race, you're like, yeah, it runs best race. This horse will win, and she doesn't. So I don't know. I look at her kind of like I look at the 2 in race 5. It's like, yeah, shows up best race, that's your winner. But I'm kind of right here with 3. I'm kind of or with Sydney. I'm kind of looking for a price a little bit. I did use your 1 and 2, so I won't talk about them. Big Band Lizzie Ann, the 4. It just kind of feels like a race a horse like this wins. Finds a spot here where none of these horses are really outstanding. Going to try dirt for the first time. This horse has a pedigree that says, yeah, I'd probably like the dirt. There's definitely a shot of it. If this horse steps up here, likes the dirt, can kind of get out in the front and still have that closing type of power that she's had in some of her races on the turf, I think she might just beat this field. So I'm with Sydney. I do like the 4 Big Band Lizzie Ann a little bit as an upsetter at 10-1. And then the 6 Powder River, second off the layoff here. Tough race last time out, I thought. Really tough race at Churchill Downs. Now cuts back to 7 furlongs in a much easier spot, in my opinion. I think this horse is kind of dangerous here as well. So I went 1, 2, 4, and 6. I'm spreading here and just trying to get through. And I agree. Movie Moxie, top choice, looks tough, but boy, is this filly trustworthy? I'm not quite sure. And by the way, Dennis says, you're right, Ricky. Never thought of thinking. Robots don't think. They just throw numbers as data goes in. So there you go. That's why you didn't think of thinking.
Yeah, well, I didn't think. More so, I didn't think of that horse because I think the horse sucks.
Ian, Dennis, that is a robotic reply. No sense of humor whatsoever. Just a robotic reply of, no, that's not what I meant, Dennis. I meant the horse.
Yeah, well, I don't usually think of thinking anyway in my daily, everyday life. It's
because
definitely
you're a robot. Exactly.
Right. No, that's not true. I just look at things, especially when it comes to sports. I try not to overreact. And why do I do that? Because when you overreact to things, positively or negatively, it doesn't have to be one direction only, you get caught up in your emotions, right? We talk about this all the time. I think that's the biggest bettor's worry. Getting caught up in emotions. I kind of like the 4 as well from a pace perspective. We have no idea what she is on the dirt. Well, so we could start there. But you are getting 10-1. That's part of the not knowing. You should be getting a price. If she's able to show that speed, I think she's a little dangerous. Now, I don't think her talent stacks up, but not really sure who else is going to run with her. And if she just gets brave on the front end, who knows? The 6, to me, I didn't feel like I needed to use, even though she's decent, just because Movie Moxie already beat her back on June 5th. Now, that was a while ago. We're talking, what is that, 4.5 months ago or whatever? I understand that, and things can change. I'm also worried a little bit about the 6 cutting back. I just don't know if 7 furlongs is enough for her, to be quite honest. She's been running, dating back to this year. We'll start at the fairgrounds, broke the maiden going a mile and a 16th, the mile 70, a mile and a 16th. The 7 furlongs, this doesn't seem to be enough, as opposed to the 2 Movie Moxie, who's never won at this distance, but has finished in the money 3 out of 4 times, most recently going 7 at Saratoga as well. That's kind of it was the difference for me. I don't think you would disagree that the 2 is probably better than the 6, but I just figured if, for those reasons, I don't need to use another short price. But are there any other comments in this? Do we have any?
What's that?
Do we have any other comments regarding this race or?
Yes. So if 2 gets caught, it's the 7 from off the pace. That's Charles's comment there on that one. So he's saying if Movie Moxie gets caught, it's the 7 Break Curfew who will be able to get the job done. Horse closed well in pretty much every race. You see this filly, or mare, I should say now. She closes. So
I will say the speed has not really been holding up.
Mm-hmm.
I will make Ricky's brain hurt next. The only way you can make my brain hurt is if you tell me you like the 14 who's scratched, or you like the 16 who doesn't exist. I mean, you make my brain hurt whenever we talk horse racing anyway, so this is just par for the course.
And remember, it's all data, Dennis. So like he said, for the robot, if you tell him the 16, you like him, he can't compute that because there is no 16 in his robotic mind.
The only horse we didn't talk about is the 3. Did you give any consideration? I didn't personally, but did you?
None. Never even gave the horse really much of a thought.
Okay. As long as if there are no comments about the 3, I think we can move on to this last race because now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, now the robot is really thinking. So, or no, not thinking. Excuse me. All right, we'll go to the final race on the card. This one kind of made my brain hurt, Ricky or Dennis. So we'll see what your comment is here as we go. It's a maiden special weight on the turf for 2-year-olds, $84,000 purse. Fillies once again. So it's all about the ladies today in these last 3 races. Field of 12 here at 13, 14, 15 are out. They were also eligibles anyway. Looks like you went 3 deep. I went 4 deep. We used the same horse, same 3 horses, and then I used an extra one. So kicks off here, Ricky. Where are we going?
Yeah, so I don't this is another. I just kind of went with the experience. One of them has to take a step forward. Even the horse, the 7, I'm going to try with Jacasey. I don't know if that's proper. Jacasey? I don't know. Anyway, didn't use her, and she has experience as well. I don't know what the 1 did last time out. Now, for the record, Kentucky Downs, it's weird. I get it. After rewatching that race, I said to myself, what is his fractious loading? I don't know if you noticed that, but what is his fractious loading about? It's hard to sometimes see on replays, the loading part. Sometimes they just show you the gate. I was able to find it. I don't know if it was through Timeform or maybe I watched it on another one. This horse was all over the place, literally all over the place. And it got me to thinking maybe that really had something to do with it because she still broke sharply and then was last, like immediately. So I'm just going to throw that out. Don't know what happened there. Wish we could have some more text, more context there. The 4, Give Me Mo Baby. Also, Kentucky Downs over a yielding course I thought was extremely impressive. Asvana Empire was entered as the 15, obviously going to be scratched here, but almost 62-1. I don't think we're going to get that price here. She looks like the horse and that has the most upside, and that's why she's my top choice. I just think that she showed a lot. It's not even about the Kentucky Downs part of things. If she can close over a yielding there in a 22-3, which isn't all that fast for the turf, I think she might be a monster if she's getting this fast or firm turf course now going 2 turns. If there's any sort of pace, which we know the 1 can provide, I think she's going to be in for a big one. I think the 9 might show a little speed as well. And then we have the 11, Twin Cause. Same thing, Kentucky Downs. The outside no impact comment was interesting. She's going to be breaking again from the not quite far outside. There's going to be another runner to her outside in the 12, Zambak. Kitten's Joy. Good pedigree there if you like first-time starters. I just expect her to take a step forward. The reason I don't really like first-time starters here is because it's a lot to ask of a horse going 8.5 furlongs on the grass 2 turns. The dirt, I preferred a little bit more if I was forced, but it's just when you get to 2 turns, the fitness becomes an issue. When I put your 7 in 4th, I'm not using, but we're on the same 4 horses here. I just trimmed it down to 3.
All right, here's the comment that's going to make the robot's brain hurt. The 2-horse can run a huge race. Looking back to the first race she was in was a monster run. Jockey sucks, trainer sucks, but if she can run the first race she ran, she can be right there at a price. So there's Dennis's big comment here. The 2 is You So Money, baby. And he's talking about a race first time out where she was able to get third, beaten by 6.5 by a nice Wesley Ward runner. Next time out at Churchill, no running really. Next time out, went to the dirt in a maiden claiming race at Churchill, no running once again. What do you think of the 2? Oh, the brain, you broke the brain, Dennis. I can already tell.
I'm not sure that the 2 isn't the worst horse in this race. Now that, to be fair, I should change my comment. I'm not sure that 2 is the worst horse with experience, because there could be a first-time starter that is really, really bad. Okay, let's attack. Can we bring Dennis's comment up again? Fantastic. Let's break this down. Okay. The 2-horse can run a huge race. They can all run a huge race. They're all capable of running a huge race. They're horses. The next one is her first race was a monster run. Was it? I mean, finished third by 6.5. Now she was on the pace early on at a huge price. I'll give you that. Artos was a nice horse. Don't really know what she's up to these days. I don't know if there's been any success. We can look into that. Haven't heard of her. So, but nonetheless, now she's going to be going long. We have no indication this horse wants to go long at all, especially the turf. Her only 2 turf races were 5.5. The jockey sucks. The trainer sucks. I'm not even going to attack that. You're already criticizing your own point with that comment. But if she can run that first race, the problem is going 5.5 to 8.5. That's 3 furlongs extra, obviously. Simple math. How can I get on board with a horse that you think the trainer and rider sucks, Dennis? How that's like me, that's like Aaron. Hey, try this new bread. Yeah, it's a little salty and a little overcooked. It's a little burnt, but I think you're gonna like it. Well, why would I try it if you tell me it's burnt and overcooked and salty? It's like, why would I use this horse if you don't like something about it? So that's just where I'm at. I think the 20-1 is fair. Go ahead. My brain really does hurt. I give Dennis credit because my brain hurts.
John Court was on last time, so new jockey. John Court's off. I don't know.
That's true. I honestly would prefer me and you over him.
Yeah, I got nothing to add. We'll get on to this one. Charles says if the 4 gets a better trip, going to be tough to beat. I kind of agree. The 4 are pretty darn good last time out. Like I said, at 61-1. Here's a comment here from Sydney. She says she likes the 8. The 8 is Cold Call. That's the firster she likes, I should say. 2-year-old filly, obviously, by Frosted out of a Smart Strike mare. Arnold, trainer, pretty decent. Not great with first-timers, but decent percentages. Gets Arietta aboard here. What do you think of the 8? Did you give that horse any thought?
Not entirely. I will admit that I think the 8 is better than the 2. Why do I say that? Because we know the 2 is dog shit. We don't know that the 8 is dog shit. We also know that Rusty Arnold more than good enough. And if you guys don't know who Francisco Arietta is, he's a really, really good rider, I believe. What is that? Like that Oaklawn. What would you call that? Midwest, right?
Yeah, Midwest, Southwest.
Yeah,
probably more Midwest.
Yeah, he's really, really good. Like, I don't think he would be a good rider at Saratoga or Churchill, but he can run in spots when he's like, if he's given the right horses, he's more than capable enough. If this 8 can run it all, I think he's okay. With that being said, I'm not going to bet it, but that's just me. I mean, I can see it if you want to give it a first. I just, again, try not to trust first-time starters in these types of spots.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know. I thought about that 8 for a little while. I just couldn't pull the trigger. So I will be mad. Well, I guess I will be mad because Sydney likes it. And if it helps you cash, that's good, but it's not going to help me. Another comment on the 4. Don't know who the trainer is. Me neither. Only 5 lifetime starts for this trainer. This is somebody new. I'm not sure who this is either. But the 4 closed. The Philly closed well on loose turf. Homebred second race is an angle I like to play. Trainer also part owner too. So I do know Poindexter Thoroughbreds. They have a lot of horses here in the Midwest or Southwest, whatever you want to call it. And I do notice that the trainer is part of the ownership group there as well. Alan Poindexter bred the horse, and that's no surprise, like said, because he that's most of the horses he owns. He also has bred them. Yeah, I don't know why this. I guess 61-1 last time out because of the connections. Nobody really knew who it was, but boy, I think this horse might go off favored today.
Yeah, I mean, that would be. I don't think if the 4 does go off as the favorite, I don't think I ever would have seen, from what I can remember, a horse that was that price on debut to not win, then go off as the favorite. I don't think I've ever seen that. Now, whether it's a 4-1 favorite or an even money favorite, I just don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah,
you know, that would be pretty incredible. Even if the horse doesn't win, just that drop in odds would be pretty incredible. But that's the horse that I put on top. Now, I don't want anything shorter than like 5-2, but who knows? I mean, I guess the toe board will tell us if she's supposed to be a freak. Who knows?
Yeah, it's good. That she's interesting because if she can run back to that effort at Kentucky Downs, it's going to be tough. I totally agree. Finally, final comment here. The 12, Charles says, the 12 is going to be my ticket for the first time starter. He's going to put on the ticket. Kitten's Joy filly out of a Pulpit mare. What do you think of the 12?
Yeah, that was the other one that I thought was interesting. If I were to go the first timer route, it would probably be the 8 and the 12. I don't think they're going to win. Again, I really don't like first-time starters in this type of spot. But the pedigree is there, the trainer is there, and Mitchell Merle's more than good enough to win if the horse can run. So, yeah, I'm on the 8 and the 12. I think I prefer the 12 over the 8 because of the Kitten's Joy thing. Again, I'm not using both, but I can understand, like, hey, if the 12 wins and that horse just runs a big race, I would not be surprised. I'd be like, all right, I got beat by a first-time starter going 2 on the turf. That's just the way I would look at it. And I don't think I'd be upset. It is what it is, but I can see it. I definitely can.
Yeah, I think if you want to get creative, you want to get a little deeper here, I definitely think those are 2 very logical horses. So yeah, we'll see. This race, like I said, I think there's a better chance of a first-time starter winning here than in the 5th race. I'm going to go back on that. I think it's about equal. Actually, it seems to me like the experienced horses do have the edge. There's just not that 1 or 2 that really stand out with first-time starters, but we'll see. I wouldn't blame anybody for throwing some on tickets. That's for sure. All right. Sum up your ticket. I'll sum up mine, and then Sydney's got hers. We'll read hers here at the end.
So we'll start in race 5. I went 2, 5, 7, 9, and 10. The theory for me is I think the 2 is vulnerable. I don't want to lose in race 1, but I definitely think we can get a price, whether it's a first-time starter or the 9 and the 10. Race 6, I went 4 and 6. I'll handle the cash. A little bit of sentiment used for me. But if she gets the lead, she's, I think, got a shot. Domingo is the horse to beat. It's pretty obvious. There's a lot to like about her. Race 7, I think Movie Moxie is the horse to beat. We just haven't seen her win in a long time, but this is one of those softer allowance optional claiming groups. I did use Tipsy Gal. I think her best really can compete. We just haven't seen it in a long time. And in race number 8, 1, 4, and 11 for me, just 3 deep there. I really think this 4 is going to turn out to be a really nice horse. I think we're going to see that here. A couple first-time starters to keep an eye on, the 8 and the 10. 8 and the 12, excuse me. Maybe you want to stable them up or write them down, whatever you want. Those could be nice horses down the road as well. So race 5, so starting 5 through 8, 5 by 2 by 2 by 3. It's only a $30 ticket. We're looking really in race 5 to I hope I did the math right because we stopped it up. There we go. Hoping race 5, the first race, really gets us going there. Otherwise, it might be a chalky afternoon.
Yeah, I didn't update the ticket price for me. It was had Friday's price on it left. All right, I'll kick us off 2, 7, 9, and 10, and raise 5. Hoping those experienced sources can kind of get the job done. Did throw in the first timer of the 7 in that spot. Believe Dominga is a single in the second leg, so I'll put the 4 as a single. 1, 2, 4, 6 in the third leg, and then round us out with 1, 4, 7, and 11. $32 ticket today. And like I said, I think we're going to see a price in 1 or 2 of these legs here. I don't think this thing's going to chalk out. That's my kind of my strongest prediction of them all. Sydney's ticket is going to be 2, 4, 7, and 10 with the 4. So she's going to try to single Dominga today as well. 1, 4, 7 in race or in leg number 3, I should say. And then 1, 4, 8, 11 in leg 4. She's going to take that first time starter by Frosted on her ticket, $24 ticket for her. So we're all pretty similar in that $20 to $30 range, so to speak. I just went a little over with 32. Final comment from Dennis on this 2. Just needs her to run about 4th. I think you guys should have a friendly side wager about this horse.
Dennis, if you want to offer up terms, I will agree. I'm not going to think of it myself. If you want to think of terms, we can go for it. What do you mean? I'm going to dive into the comments.
Okay.
Which I don't like to do because it's your job. You can't say that 2 is going to run a huge race and then say I need the horse to finish 4th.
Mm-hmm.
That's like saying, hey, I think Syracuse can cover. Really? Oh, they're 37-point spreads? Yeah, but I also think they could win if they do X, Y, and Z. Well, what do you want? Do you want them to win or do you want them to cover? There are 2 big things there. So if you want the 2 to finish 4th, I don't think that's going to happen. But then I don't want to see in the comment you could run a huge race because running a huge race is not finishing 4th as far as I'm concerned. Winning or finishing 2nd closely is a huge race. Now, if this horse were to be entered in a Breeders' Cup race, running 4th would be a miracle. That's not where we are, though. So, with that being said, Dennis, if you want to offer up some terms, great. If not, then Aaron, the floor is yours again.
We'll see if Dennis responds to the robots. To the robots challenge here.
Whoa. There's a Syracuse. Okay, there's this. I'm wearing my one of my Syracuse t-shirts. No Mello, no McNamara. Q's can't cover a garbage can. Every time people say this, Aaron, because you watch March Madness, you're a big college basketball fan. Every time they get doubted, they make a run. Not every time, a lot of times where you were kind of looking at each other like, here comes Syracuse again. Now, so just keep that in mind, Steve, keep that in mind when we roll around late February, March. They don't look great. They get on a winning streak. They lose in the first round of the ACC tournament, and they're like a 10 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they upset someone. They lost in the Sweet 16 to Houston, who had a nice run as well. So just keep that in mind. You're not the only one. You're not in the minority on that statement. So it's okay.
Without going into 5-10 minutes, just quickly, are they going to be good this year basketball wise? Should they be good?
I think they will. Again, I was at a couple weeks ago, so not this past weekend, but the weekend before I was at practice. So you're talking about Joe Girard. So I think they'll score a lot. I don't think they'll be all that great defensively. This team kind of reminds me of the team my junior year. That was John Gillen, Andrew White. They ended up going to the NIT. I think that was more of a culture issue, not a talent issue, because a lot of those kids got drafted or played, on summer league teams, whatever, things like that. With that being said, what's your definition of good for them? Like, is an 8 seed good? How would you define success?
Well, I think there's levels. Are they a tournament team, number one?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I do think this team is better than last year's team. So I would say that.
So are they a second weekend tournament team?
Probably not. I think they are. It's all about matchups, obviously. I think they are like an 8 or a 9, which then is going to put you up against the 1. So with that, unless the 1 gets upset, which, let's be realistic, that's probably not going to happen. So if you are an 8-9, whether you're 8 or 9, and you got to play the 1, or you're a 7 and you go play the 2, it's just a big ask. I don't think they are like I've always said seeding purposes, like I'd rather be an 11 because I'm getting, potentially a better second round matchup after an upset. And when you play, if you're an 11 and you play a 6, you get to play a 3, assuming the 3 wins, and it's 3-14.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, there's the difference between 8 and 9 or 8 through 11 is not as great as 1 through 3. So that's just kind of the way I look at it. I think they can be, but if you ask me right now, I would say no, they're not. And I think they are a fringe top 25 team when the season ends. Like, they're going to probably, I say, hover all year between 25 and like 30, 33, something like that, which is a tournament team, but you're going to be probably like that 7 through 10 range or 7 through 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited because, again, this team went to the tournament last year. This is the last year that I actually know a player on the team still. Not Buddy Boeheim. Buddy I know from like when he was in middle school and high school. So this is it. But yeah, I'm excited because football gives me nothing to be excited about. That Clemson game the other night was dreadful to watch.
Yeah, it wasn't a pretty game to watch, no doubt about it. And thank you, Charles, for tuning in once again today. And that's why we do it, because a lot of people tune in and seem to enjoy it. So we'll keep doing it as long as you guys keep enjoying it, for sure. Yeah, football-wise, you don't have much for college. You got a lot for the NFL. I mean, you got a team in the Ravens now who put themselves in a position to have a shot to get that number 1 seed in the AFC. So much football left to be played, but they're in position. That's what you have to do in the first 6 games. You got to put yourself in a good position, and they have. So forget about what they've done. How about leading up to these last, I guess now 11 games, because they play 17. What do you think? Do you think the Ravens will end up being the number 1 seed in the AFC?
I don't. Now, the reason is because there are a lot of other good teams. So first of all, the AFC East stinks. So the Bills should be able to run through that division. The Bills really should be 5-1, if not 6-0 in that division. The Ravens will lose a game in the division, whether it's Pittsburgh, Cleveland's more than capable, and Cincinnati at least is no joke. Even if they tail off a little bit, at least they can compete. Like, would you rather be Cincinnati? Would you rather be the Jets? I don't really think that's up for a comparison. Yeah, they have to get healthy too on the back end. They are not going to have their running backs anytime soon. But it's just a great system. Like, this is why I like being a Ravens fan. Even when like you don't agree with what they do, which I usually do, but say I don't, I just have confidence that they're making the right decision. As opposed to the Jets, I would have zero confidence. Everything like 2 + 2, if they told me it was 4, I would think that's incorrect because it's coming from the Jets. And if the Ravens told me 7 + 7 is 48, I would believe it because they're the Ravens. Like, that's just the confidence I have. You're right. Lamar is playing at an MVP level, but his numbers don't back it up. So it just, the amount of responsibility to me, him and Derrick Henry are the only ones that are like, if we didn't have X player, we couldn't be Y. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, the Bills would be a very good team without Josh Allen if you put another quarterback in there.
I don't think so.
You don't think?
No.
Yeah, that's just me. I think Lamar has taken on more of a responsibility than Allen has been shouldered with. The defense for the Bills, except for Monday night, that was dreadful. Allen's playing at an MVP level too. I think Kyler's played at an MVP level. I think a lot of quarterbacks. I think Dak has as well. Brady certainly. Mahomes not, but even Rodgers on the fringe, and like there are a lot of guys playing really, really well right now. It's just if you took Lamar off the Ravens, they're in trouble. They really, really are. More than anyone else. Derrick Henry, I think, as well. Like, if you took Derrick Henry off the Titans, they're in trouble. I don't know if the Bills would be as much in trouble. Yeah, they would be in trouble, but I think they would still be a 500 team. The Ravens are not 500 without Lamar. No chance.
I think all of a sudden what we've seen through 6 games is the NFC is going to be tougher to win than the AFC. The NFC seems to have some really good teams. You look at this AFC, you got the Bills, and then, Patriots aren't very good. Jets, Dolphins, they're not very good. And you've got the Ravens. I'm still not 100% sold Cincinnati's like a juggernaut. But, like, I kind of agree with your assessment. They'll hang in there. Pittsburgh's not very good, and Cleveland has so many injuries. It's unreal. All of a sudden that division looks like it's Baltimore's. Tennessee, I think they're Jekyll and Hyde, but when they're good, they're good. And then the rest of the teams in that division aren't very good. And who knows what to make of the AFC West, right? The Chargers just got dominated by the Ravens. the Raiders had to fire the coach. It's just a weird situation there. They did win last week. I think the Broncos are trash, and I don't know what the Chiefs really are. I don't think they're great. So to me, it's the Ravens to lose at this point. And I think their biggest challengers will be the Bills and the Titans. I still believe the Titans are a really, really good football team. I just have got to see that consistency from them. When they play their best ball, they're good.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, their best
is good.
Their
worst loses to the Jets, though. So,
well, okay. So in their defense, they didn't have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, but you're still supposed to win that game. No, I'm with you. You're supposed to win that. That's a game that you're supposed to win. They are really Jekyll and Hyde, though. Like, their best beats the Bills. Their worst, like you said, loses to the Jets, loses to the Dolphins, loses to whoever, finishes off the board. Does that mean the top 3, or does that mean miss the playoffs?
I would assume that means he believes the Chiefs will miss the playoffs.
They're not missing.
I'm just assuming that.
They are not missing the playoffs. I root for the Chiefs to lose 100-0 every game. They're not losing. They're not missing the playoffs. They've had a pretty tough schedule. And to be honest, one of the things that I put, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I would look at it and say they don't punt. If we just eliminate the turnovers or even trim them down. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, if the offense got stagnant, I know their defense stinks. But if you look at the Chiefs and the Titans, both got high-power offenses with no defenses. Would you rather be the Chiefs or would you rather be the Titans? I'd rather be the Chiefs, and I want them to lose. Like, I'm just looking at it realistically.
I thought at the first of the year, the Titans were the team that would beat the Chiefs. Obviously, things have totally changed now. Then they play this week.
They have the formula to do it, though. Like, you need to run the ball. Like, at their best, they have the formula to do it. It's just, will they execute it?
Let me ask you this question, because this guy, I don't agree with the comment, really. The comment is Mahomes got paid, no more fight in that guy. I don't really know if that's accurate, but have teams kind of just figured out how to slow him down, I think is the question.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, the NFL is a progressive league. But what I mean by that is if you like Lamar, for example, like they started stacking the box when he couldn't throw. He is clearly developed as a passer. Will he be Aaron Rodgers? Will he be Kyler? Will he be Brady? Will he be Mahomes? No. But can he be good enough to throw? The answer is clearly yes. This year, at least, what we've seen. He won a playoff game last year. He's gotten better. I would say Mahomes has almost gotten too cool for school.
I agree.
Like, enough with the no-look passes.
Yes.
Enough with if you fumble the ball, we make something out of nothing. You're allowed to fall on the ball. Just take your sack or take your loss of yards. Enough. That's what I think it's more so. It's got nothing to do with the fight in the guy. Now, that's just me. I don't know him personally, so I wouldn't accuse him of that. It's the attitude of we can just flick it on. We could just turn it on. And there's this target on your back, and someone brought up to me of the Chiefs dynasty. No. They've won one Super Bowl. Yeah. They've gotten destroyed in the last Super Bowl they were in. They got outplayed for 3 quarters when they played the Niners. You're not a dynasty. Now, if they were to win this year, maybe a different conversation. Well, I guess this is a new decade, whatever, so I don't know. But no, they're not a dynasty, and they need to get back to fundamentals. And the one thing that was impressive, Darrell Williams had a really good game. They need to get back to that. Yeah.
I hate that kid. Oh, I hate everybody surrounded by Mahomes. Yeah, I really do. Like, I like Mahomes, and I hate all the people in his life.
I would never say anything mean about a woman, but when it comes to him, he is the most annoying. He is that type of person that if he wasn't related to Patrick Mahomes, he'd be not only a loser, he would have been beaten up on multiple occasions. No, seriously, like his latest incident was dancing on Sean Taylor's number retirement, or they had spray painted his number to the 21 on the field, and he's dancing on it. First of all, if you're Washington football team security, we can't be the Redskins anymore. The football team security, it's roped off. If something's roped off, that means you don't allow someone into that area. But we allow him into it, and he's doing TikToks on it. How about when he spilled the soda or the water on the people in the stands when they lost? Like, dude, I honestly think if it was like, they have like in high school or maybe like college, like or middle school, like a kissing booth. There should be a punching booth. Like I would pay a certain amount of money to hit him with one shot for free, or at no jail time, no nothing. That's how annoying this guy. He might be the most annoying person that's not involved. He might be seriously the most annoying person that doesn't actually play sports.
So here's I love the rant. I totally agree. But here is the Dennis liked it too. There, here's the deal with Mahomes. Okay, that supports your argument of you're being too cute. Just play the game, right? He's still on pace to throw for 5,000 yards this year. Okay, that's pretty good. He's still on pace for 48 touchdown passes this year. Okay, that's pretty good. He's also on pace to throw 21 interceptions. To me, there's no more evidence that Ricky's right on that. If you just need to play, you need to stop trying to be cute, and you just need to play. Because these things, these stupid things are, they aren't stupid when they work, but when they don't, all of a sudden you're costing your team a game. And so that's kind of the big deal. And you said it. I think if the Chiefs stop turning the football over, they may win out. Or maybe lose one more, two more, something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It still goes back to their best of the best. Like their top end players are still elite.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't know how good they are top to bottom.
Well, they're not good enough to overcome turnovers. That's
Correct.
The deal.
Correct.
Yeah, and not to say that like there's not many teams that are good enough, right? But his job is to cover up their flaws, not be one of their flaws.
Correct. When you like, that's the problem that Baker's going through. Well, I know he's not playing this week, but it's like if you want that money, you have to be one of the reasons that when things are going wrong, we win because of you. You can't be contributing to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not just Baker. There are plenty of guys that have struggled. I don't think Rodgers has played all that great. Mahomes hasn't played that great. Big Ben hasn't been good. Like if the quarterback's not good, your team struggles. And the Browns have won in spite of him to at this point. And the Chiefs haven't been good because Mahomes hasn't been great. He's been relatively average for his standards. So
that's just it. I think you're totally right. And I think if you want to get into the Browns, and Dennis says, have I seen the spread for the Browns Broncos? It's now the Browns are a 1.5 point favorite. So it keeps going. I think it started at 3.5. Now it's 1.5. But Baker's out, Chubb's out. I don't know who I'm going to take in that game, to be honest. I got to study that today. But if you want to get into the Browns, Baker Mayfield's biggest mistake, I think, this year was not sitting out when he got hurt and just letting that heal.
I brought that up.
You think about it, after 2 games, everybody was saying Mayfield's having a really good year. And he got hurt towards the end of that second game. Since the injury, it's went to shit, not only for the Browns, but for him. If he just would have sat out and said, hey, I'm hurt, when he came back, we would remember those 2 games where he looked really good.
Right. I think Jarvis coming back will help.
Totally.
Did we see the Brown? Yeah, the Browns are 1.5 point favorites. I don't know. I'm sure that's been updated. Okay. The other thing is I gave him credit for not making an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm going to detract and say if you're hurt, which clearly he is because he's not playing.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever came out and said that's why he's not playing, but it's fair to assume. Yeah, like I don't think that's why he's not playing.
Yeah.
Clearly, it gets to a point, okay, well, now I'm looking at you and saying you're doing your team a disservice. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, when you're that hurt and you're not at 100%, like I'm looking at it the other way now. I give him credit, but I'm also have to detract, if that makes sense.
In his defense, he re-injured it, and injured it worse on Sunday. Like, I don't know if you saw what happened.
No, I didn't. For the record, I didn't. I did not see
No, that looked nasty. Like, nastier than the first one. That arm just bent. When it happened, he should have said the hell with it right then. They were getting their ass beat anyway.
Right, exactly. Well, I know he went into the tunnel, or the tent,
Yeah.
excuse me, and was getting checked out, and I know there was an issue.
But I'm with you. I'm with the thought process. If you're going to go out there and not perform well, you need to stay off the field. Period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you're now doing again, if it's like the final drive of the season, different story. Right. Different story. Like, you better almost not be able to walk, or you can't grab the football, kind of like the Russell Wilson thing. But,
Super Bowl, championship game, big playoff game, tough it out.
Right, exactly. But in the regular season, clearly he wasn't healthy, not even close to 100%. Yep. And now it seems like it might have been worse. So that's where I'm going to detract. I wanted to give him credit, and now I have to detract. It's not his fault. Again, like, I admire him for doing the right thing, but you also have to be smart.
Well, because like I said, you hurt your team and then you hurt yourself, and it's a contract year, so nothing good came out of it.
Right, and to be honest, now the Browns might be looking at him like, okay, we don't know how long this is going to last, and are you our guy? And there's a lot of questions, and I think the Browns are in much deeper waters regarding making the playoffs than the Chiefs are.
Big time.
And they have the same record, obviously.
Big time. The Browns are in big trouble. Yeah, this is a pivotal game against the Broncos, and they don't have their two best running backs. They're probably not going to have their two best wide receivers. They're missing two offensive linemen, likely. They're missing a couple guys in the secondary, and they're starting quarterback.
Yeah.
The Broncos are bad, but this is a battle.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, final comment. We're gonna go here because we got things to do. We're already way over. Here's a suggested bet, Ricky. If you want to read that one, you're like, I don't want to read that.
Might do a wager for November, December, 15 minutes if the two. No, no, absolutely no. I'm almost mad that I had to read that. No,
that's why I made you read it, because it was too long and I'm too tired.
Yeah, no. Just I'll root for your two. If I'm out, how about this? If I'm out, I'll root for the two.
How about this? If the two finishes fourth or better, well, no, I'm not, because I don't know what the right punishment is for Dennis. See, that's the thing. My mind goes, oh yeah, we can make Ricky do all kinds of things, but I don't want to make Dennis do something because he's gonna lose. So. I don't know. We'll see, Dennis. We'll just talk about it tomorrow on the show and see what happens. All right, we're gonna get off here. I think we've went long enough today. We'll be right back here tomorrow covering Keeneland once again, and hopefully we've got a winner today, and we can build on that momentum into tomorrow. So good luck, everybody, playing and watching today at Keeneland, and let's hope to get a couple winners home.